Ready? Here we go.
Different points of view and highs and lows. A new perspective everywhere you go. Open up your mind, drown out the noise, and see if this connected. And see if this connected.
What's up, fam? The mission of this Connected podcast is to connect generations and situations about faith, life, and whatever comes along the way. To not necessarily agree, but be listened to. These conversations, of course, highlight the perspective of our various guests, and you are always welcome to agree or even disagree. But as always, we hope that it is done in charity. Now, here's your host, Catholic.Dad.
So thanks, Tony, for that intro. We are back podcasting. Look at this, folks. Tony is in the house. He is actually in the podcast studio, and we're not even going to talk about our guest because Tony's here. So we're just going to talk. Hey, how are you, Tony?
I'm great. I am great. I got a beard. You got a beard.
I got a beard. And you know what? Have you noticed your microphone color?
It's great.
Because it's liturgically correct, because we are in ordinary time.
What about yours?
Actually, you know what? Mine is yellow because I'm actually the host, and it's Vatican colors. So,
oh wow,
yeah,
that's very thoughtful.
Yeah, very
logo,
true. The logo is yellow, and actually, it's because I ran out of green. Sorry, I had to put in the yellow.
Truth comes out.
Yeah, couldn't put in red because that would have been awkward. We have the purple tablecloth.
Oh, that's true.
That's not liturgically correct, but we have the green in the middle. But folks, that's not why we're here. We're actually here because we're going to podcast something that I always look at the end of the year, end of the ministry year, is I look at all the high school students, and some of them are going to college and some of them are not. And then when I look at young adult ministry and what's available for them and what's things that we provide for them as youth ministers and in youth ministry. And it's kind of like, sometimes I look at that and it's like, wah, 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 there's nothing. And then I lose track of them and we lose them. And I know we're not their parents. We're not their older brothers. We want to be, we should be. But, you know, you look at it, it's like, where are they? What are they going to do? So, Fram, what we have today is we invited someone. We have actually a guest. Been wanting this guy to come on and we finally hounded him. We got this buff guy to drag him over here.
Thanks.
Yeah, he's right there. We show you the video, but you know, if you want to peek in, it's like he's right there. But we have Manny, and Manny is from NET Ministries, and he's actually a former youth minister. I used to actually stalk him when he used to post these cool videos, and then it disappeared, and I'm like, what happened?
You did videos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did a couple. I was like showing them to my teens. I'm like, you gotta watch this, and they're like, is there more? And I'm like, is there? Because that first one was like, that's awesome. And I'm like,
can I still find these?
Yeah, they're actually on the St. Peter and St. Paul youth like their youth ministry Instagram.
Oh,
Instagram.
Oh, okay. And is it like you talking to the?
Yeah, it was pretty much. I think what we were doing. I don't know. We should just go.
Well, no. We got to stop a little bit because we always get in trouble for this because we always have our guests start talking because we're having conversation, and then we forget to introduce our guests.
Yeah, who are you?
And we forget to talk about them and talk them up, and give their bio. But before that, I want to share with you guys the shirt of the day. A shirt of the day is this one. Can you guys see it? It's Modern Theologian. One of our friends created this shirt. She's a modern theologian. Follow her on Instagram. Shout out to her. Awesome, cool. This is just cool. It's like, how come we didn't come up with this idea? So we got these weird ones that we have, and she's like, man, I could put that as a tattoo.
You should.
You should.
You should.
Maybe not. No. But anyways, friends, fam, we have Manny Huerta. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Was that like Huerta?
So in Spanish, like the H is silent, so it's more like Huerta.
Huerta.
Exactly. But yeah, but that's perfectly fine. That's acceptable.
I was feeling good about myself until he like.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't correct you.
So Manny,
Let it go.
tell us about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? And what? Tell us about you.
Yeah, so pretty much, yeah, my name is Manny. I go by Manny. My name is Manuel. I work for NET Ministries, like you guys mentioned, out here in Southern California. Just really trying to push out our mission in this region. So that's what I do. And I was a youth minister for a little over 3 years here in the San Bernardino area.
The average.
That's the average.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
you
Tony.
made that statistic even.
Tony's like on his 3rd year, and it's like, oh,
I
sorry,
just
Tony.
finished my. Oh no, next month I'll finish my 3rd year.
Yeah, that's because Tony is above average.
Yes. And yeah, I'm just really passionate personally about just walking with people in general, but obviously young people especially, and walking with them in their relationship with Jesus. And so that's what I'm passionate about. That's what I'm about. And that's what hopefully we're here to talk about,
That is. And we have a couple of topics that I really want to delve in, but what is NET's vision? Let's talk about that first. What is NET's vision?
Yeah, for sure. I can talk a little bit more about NET. So NET stands, it's an acronym, stands for National Evangelization Teams. And so NET mission is to challenge young Catholics to love Christ and embrace the life of the church. And so we do that by recruiting missionaries that are young adults, Catholic young adults from 18 to 28 years old. And we put them in missionary teams of about 12 people, and we send them out. We train them. Actually, right now we're recruiting to still get young adults to be on these teams, and we train them in August. We all get together in St. Paul, Minnesota, and so we train them in St. Paul, and we send them out in teams of about 8 to 12 young adults, and we send them out to the whole country, the 48.
How long?
They go for a school year pretty much, so 10 months.
No, but the training.
The training is like 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
So I was teasing Tony a little bit earlier because we've used NET before, and I actually look at you guys. It's like you guys are like the Catholic Mormons. It's like instead of going in 2s, they go in 12s. So Mormons do 2s. Catholics got to make it better. We put them in a van of 12. So it's like, I find that hilarious. But
yeah, I think like traveling as a NET missionary myself, we always, every time we told someone, whether they were Catholic or non-Catholic, that we were Catholic missionaries, they were like, what? I thought Protestants were the only ones that weren't on missionary work. I was like, no, Catholics also do missionary work, and we're pretty good at it.
And that is something that I actually thought the first time I used NET at our parish was the fact that they said, oh yeah, NET missionaries. And I said, well, I always thought that missionaries and Catholic missionaries, this is our vision of Catholic missionaries. We go to third world countries.
Mm-hmm.
We go to other parts of the world, not developed nations.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't consider when you guys travel outside of the world, when you go to Scotland and Ireland, it's like, what would you be doing mission work in Ireland and Scotland and Alabama and Southern California? And it's like, oh yeah, you can use these missionaries, and and I'm like, wait, we have missionaries and they're young people and they speak English?
Yep. Yeah.
So how did that go about? I mean, whose idea was that?
So our founder and our CEO, his name's Mark Burcham, really awesome guy, very definitely a visionary, definitely I think in the 80s when he started NET, it was definitely something that nobody I think had really thought of, at least that I can look at. And so I think it was just really kind of like just following the spirit a lot. NET came out of this community called CCR, which is Community Christ the Redeemer, which is a charismatic community in the St. Paul, Minneapolis area. And so with that same spirit of the charismatic renewal in mind, NET was kind of brought forth through the vision of Mark Burcham. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, yes, with the hair and the glasses.
Okay, yeah. Is that part of the training? Is there charismatic, I don't know, training of that sort of thing?
Yeah, so for sure, we kind of, when we're recruiting, we're pretty open, in our like recruitment process and discernment process, and we tell and share with missionaries that one of our sort of charisms, if you can tell, like we have the evangelization, is very strong, but being charismatic and praying in a charismatic way is just really it's essential and crucial to the ministry, and to the spiritual life of the missionaries in the communities that they live in. So definitely we train them on why we do it, why we pray corporately, charismatically, and why it's good for us, why it's an appropriate response to God, to give him worship in that way. So yeah.
That's funny. The reason why I was looking at my phone is I'm telling my daughter, hey, can you turn down the AC? Can you turn up the AC? Because I'm burning up.
I told you it's fire. Let's get fire on this podcast.
It's like 95 degrees and we're drinking hot tea and coffee. That's how Catholic we are.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yes.
Can I ask this? I don't know. Do you ever get pushback, or have you ever heard people getting pushback, or maybe a sense of confusion with the charismatic form of like expressing form of worship in that way? I don't know
Like, what do you mean by pushback?
Not pushback, confusion. Like, I don't understand. It's hard for me to be on board with worshiping in that way.
I think from my experience, like we even have some missionaries that are not fully like sold on the idea. But again, it's kind of like this obedience thing where, like we're asking you for these 10 months to pray in this way for the greater good of the mission and of your brothers and sisters on your team. And most often than not, our missionaries can understand that at the very least, even if they don't fully embrace it. And like when they leave NET, they never do praise and worship ever in their life again. Like, I'm sure that's a thing, but at least for the, 9 months that you're with the team on mission, we ask you that you just be obedient and answer the call of the Lord to pray in this way and to be filled by the Lord through this expressive praise. And like I said, yeah, maybe we have some pushback, but not to the extent that I think we lose missionaries because of it.
So it's not a pushback from missionaries who are young adults, but more of older people.
Yeah, I can't think of a time where, like, because we'll travel around the country. So we pretty much our retreat teams are going to a parish, pretty much a different parish every day, right? Traveling across the country. So we do prayer in hundreds of churches throughout the year. And I've never encountered a situation, I think, where they were super against us praying in that way. Maybe they were just nice and they didn't want to tell us like that's weird or something. But I never really had like anyone just be like, hey, don't pray like that. We don't like that. We're Catholic. We don't do that. Like, that's never something like that.
I think more, honestly, I think more people needs to be introduced to that. I think there actually should be a net for older people. I actually think that you should expand as netters get older. They should do net for geriatric nets. It's like catch them as they get older. They need that as well. But we were talking earlier, and we really want to know because people want to know. So, do you get like people who come into NET who are just that way? There's this thing when we had netters come twice, they had that same quality. They're so excited. Like are these guys like real? I mean, can you be like that happy all the time? And like, so sometimes it's like, as a youth minister, as a former youth minister, it's like, it's hard, but these guys are like, this is like a smile. It's like, you're just so happy, it's sickening. But it's not. I love it. I adore the fact that you guys are so happy. But is there a training? Because I know I've led many teams yeah, can't be that happy all the time. I mean, it's like, is there a specific training? Is it? It's like
What's the silver bullet to actually be
silver bullet.
joyous?
I got the silver bullet.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh man.
They have Jesus, we don't. That's what we lack. Oh,
Gosh. I was like,
No, but
wait. I gotta press that. Have the laughter going on.
No, but seriously, I think we do train them in like being present all times when it's ministry, being present when they're at a host family, so the families that take them in for a night. So being very intentional with people wherever they at, whoever they may be. So we do train them in those things, but like you said, that energy, it really does just comes from grace. To be able to just be, like you said, that energetic, that joyful, that contagious, which is really our like biggest source of evangelization. We get it on our retreat evaluations all the time from retreatants themselves that say how the missionaries related to each other. I've never seen that. And I can tell that they care for each other so much, and that makes me want to strengthen my relationship with Jesus.
Here's a funny thing. It's like, Instagram, when we first had Netters, and Instagram was fairly new, and it's like, I can't follow you because you're a minor and I'm an adult, and the youth are like, well, so when I turn 18, I can follow you. And you still have youth who have great relationships with their netters as they grew older. They're like still following the lives of these netters that made such an impact on their lives, and they're from Spain, like Thais, who was a netter who
Yes,
stay with us. I'm like, you got a baby. Everybody in our church knows her babies.
Oh my
her
God.
baby, her son, and her husband. so that's what's so amazing is that connection. So do you also train them in how to have that relationship with the host families? Because these guys were like, I'm like, children, my kids, you need to learn from these guys who are spending the night. Because I'm like, wow, it's like that whole thing. I love this, by the way. At the very end, when you're a host family, Catholic host families are not used to this. Would you guys like to join us in prayer before we go to bed? I'm like, what? You want us to do what? And that was the thing that other parents, host families are like, that was really cool, but I really felt uncomfortable because we usually don't pray together as a family. Like us Catholics, you say your prayers by your bedside. It's like together. That was something that blew their mind.
You know what was one of the most hard lessons I learned in just in leadership in general? Going back to the point of being joyous in ministry is I remember one of my first years of being a core member, I think it was for Edge, but I gave my first talk. I'm paraphrasing this story because it's been over 10 years now. But I gave myself my first talk or something like that. I know I'm old. And the leader pulled me aside and said after, it's like, is there something going on with you, like personal? And I was like, yeah, I've been kind of stressed out about this. And I kind of shared a little bit. And he kind of cut me off and he said, I understand about all that. But when you're here, you're here. And saying like, even though you're going through other things, like you still have the joy of Christ within you. And they need to see that as well. So even putting like, and that was a hard thing because I was like, oh, my problems really hurt though, but putting that aside just for the greater good of serving. And I think that's why I was asking Arnell the same question about this idea, because the NET team tends to do that so well. They're so joyous. And I was like, they have to have bad days. But you don't see it. And I've seen a lot of teams. And I praise them for that because I know that that's challenging. I know that's not easy.
Yeah, and it'll happen. Everyone has emotional moments and bad days and all that. But yeah, I think they're good at not putting that burden on you,
Right.
and relying on their team members as support systems for being able to deal with the many emotions that come with ministry, the many difficult situations that come with ministry. And then like we use this term with them when we're training them. It's called road grace, right? It's this like special grace that we say the Lord gives to missionaries to do the specific mission that they've been commissioned to do while they're on mission. A lot of mission there. Yeah, so this road grace that we tell them about, we tell them to lean on that, to lean on the Lord, you know, like he's providing, you know, the daily grace to get to talk to that one teenager, to invest in that one host family, to be intentional with that youth minister. So we tell them to rely on the grace, not their own strength.
So is it always 12?
No, so it can be very different. There's actually two types of teams you and most people really encounter are retreat traveling teams. Those are the ones that go around the country doing the retreats. But we also have a different type of team that stays at one parish or school the entire year.
Oh, wow.
And those are called, sorry, I'm blanking out, discipleship teams. And so discipleship teams focus on discipleship. It's like a 3-year program that we offer to specific parishes that apply to have a discipleship team. I believe there's one school. I don't know if I can tell which school, but there's a school here in Southern California that's having a team next year. And that's the first discipleship team in California or in the West Coast in the history of NET. So we're really excited to bring out a discipleship team out here. Hopefully we can start getting more discipleship teams out here, because that's really, there's just a different sense of ministry that happens there. And those teams are smaller. So they have like 8 missionaries. So normally 4 guys, 4 girls, and our traveling retreat teams have about 12 to 13.
And do they live with a host family at that church, or?
So yeah, so that's like one of the responsibilities I think that is given to the parish, to provide housing and you know, just lodging and meals for the entire. So it's a big commitment for parishes. So not a lot of parishes can do it because it is a big commitment. And again, like I said, it's a 3-year process that we propose to them. That it's focused, it's based on discipleship. So yeah.
And what you know, being away from family for the very first time for 12 months, is do you guys find that that's a hard and difficult thing for most missionaries who probably this is the first time? Or are they like, I can't believe it. I'm gonna be gone from my mom and dad, my little brother, my little sister. I'm gonna be alone. This is perfect.
Yeah, I think
I never want to stop.
It's like, sign me up again. No, yeah, for sure. I can speak from like personal experience. I was 19 when I did NET. So I went to college for a little bit. I actually went to Chafee College for about a year, and then decided to do NET after that. And I did it for 2 years. So I was 19. So I had a little bit of life experience, but I'd never been away from family for that extended period of time, right? You do get to come back home December for a couple of weeks, but then you're gone for just a long periods of time. You don't have a lot of time to call home. You can call pretty regularly, you know, like once a week or something, but not a lot of time to just call home and stuff like that. So it did impact, especially being Hispanic. Like my mom was expecting like a call every day, like text messages all the time. And I was like, no updates like in a month. And I kind of dropped the ball as a son there, to be honest. I was kind of in that sense like, oh, I'm free. You know, it's like I get to just live my own life, do mission work, and
I don't have to do my laundry.
I know. No, you still have to do laundry, because that'd be pretty disgusting.
Which, you know, you brought up the word disgusting.
Yes.
Doing youth ministry, we
going?
know disgusting.
Yes.
But traveling with 12 people in a van, you know where this is going.
Maybe.
This could be disgusting, because it's like, how is it? Is it comfortable? Is it like, you know, it's like, dude, get some Beano. You know, it's like we just stayed with a host family and they served us a lot of beans, and we're like, now we gotta travel 3 hours to the next spot. And it's like, I mean, do people get irritated with each other? Do you have to have like, okay, I can't sit with this person. and I only sit with this person. Is there?
Look at that face of just a ton of stories just filtered through his head.
I was like, this is reality, because I just want to know. It's like, because they get out of that band, it's like they're like, man, they are like, they just love each other. It's like,
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That's good.
these guys aren't Catholic. 'Cause, you know the typical Catholics we got.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's like,
God.
what's this? Where's the cheese man?
There's a cheese. Oh my God, there's so much cheese. No.
Catholic cheese man.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. I can say that. So team life, we call it team life, just how the team interacts and all that. It's difficult for sure. Just all around. You're obviously not going to connect with every single person on your team. You're just not.
Mhm.
That's a reality. We're humans, and then Satan's always working to divide the team, working to destroy the things that they're building, the mission that they're working towards, the ministry that they're doing in the name of the Lord, and they're being attacked in many ways. That's why as a staff we're always praying. We're constantly praying. Every single day we have about 30 minutes of staff prayer. Our Minnesota staff, our Eastern regional staff, our West Coast staff, we all get together and pray that the Lord will provide the grace for the team members. And then we ask and we train the team members to pray for themselves as well, and pray for the ministry. So it involves prayer. It's all centered in prayer. If they weren't praying, if someone's not praying, it's going to show in their relationships with the team members. So yeah, relationships are difficult. There's roles on the team. Everyone has roles. So it's someone's job to make sure the van's clean all the time. And, it's not just on them to do it, but it's on them to organize the cleaning of the van, the regular cleaning of it and everything. So hopefully, people are getting by in clean vans.
So what's the suckiest job?
The suckiest job.
He thought I was going to say, what's the best job? Like,
Oh,
no,
gosh.
we're Catholic. What's the worst job?
I mean, I don't know if I think, oh my gosh.
He's like, there's so many.
This question.
No, it's not that it's so many. It's I mean,
They're all so
I have an
good.
appreciation for all the roles because I've seen so many people do these things. But I don't know. Some people are probably going to say the manual labor. I had 1 year the trailer packer. You pack the trailer with all the suitcases. I don't think it's that bad. Some people don't want that job. I was like, it's cool. It's like a cool responsibility.
That is actually the reason why I was asking, because I was watching this guy once and he was packing the trailer with all the suitcases, with everything. And he was just like whistling. I'm like, this job sucks. And he's like, no, because I pack things. I'm like, I pack it this way and there's a special way. And when there's other people who do it, it's a mess. So this is my job. This is my ministry. I love the fact that I get to put every single thing here. And when it's unpacked, it gets unpacked the same exact way. I'm like, this guy, you know who you are, the most anal person. I was like, this guy was selected for this. The Holy Spirit brought this guy down and everybody was like doing their thing. And he's like, I'm like, are there numbers on the suitcases?
I feel like that's probably most trailer packers on net teams. I feel like we just get too into it, man.
Yeah, and I was like, can I help you? He's like, oh, no.
Yeah.
I just want to watch.
You know what? Looking back then, I think now I was never a leader on one of the teams. So each team has a male and a female leader team. They're called the team leaders. And now as a person that has, a lot of responsibilities as a dad, has to look after people, all these things, I have a much greater appreciation for team leaders because I understand how much they have to just foresee and resolve issues and deal with things that the other team members don't have to deal with, which is great because God is giving them that, a purpose on the team. And it's difficult and it's great that we have these leaders that decide to step up. So it's difficult and I appreciate them. Again, I'm not saying anything about all the other roles, but I really do appreciate my team leaders more now than I probably did when I just got off the road, back in 2016.
So before Tony asks a question, I want to ask a question because I like to always ask questions. But so, how do you become a netter? And what's the process? And where do you get sent? It's like, and do you get to choose to where you get sent?
Yeah. So okay, let's
I'm never gonna be a netter.
let's take it one at a time there, okay? Because there's a few questions there. But how do you become a netter? You apply netusa.org slash apply and yes, netusa.org/apply. And that's where you can get an application to start the process. It's not super lengthy. It's pretty simple. It's just some basic questions, and that application is actually to get you signed up for what we call an interview discernment weekend, which actually there's a lot of them online now, which is super convenient for people like out in West Coast or where there's not in the past people used to have to like fly out to Minnesota or fly out to other places to interview. Now we can do it online. And so once you do the interview discernment weekend, it's like a half interview, and then the other half of it we kind of tell you as best as we can most of the things about NET that we can share in a few hours, right? So we just share a lot about what we do, and then after that interview, you would either get an acceptance letter or be asked to apply in the future. So one of those things, and then once you're ready, you would either accept or maybe decline our offer to serve as a missionary. And we would invite you to training in August if you do accept. So you would come to training and you kind of just move forward from there. Yeah. Oh. So that's in a nutshell how to apply.
So now where do you get sent? Is it a lottery, or is it like, hey, you know what? I want to serve there.
No, it's definitely. So we do ask you what type of team you would prefer to serve on, whether a retreat team or a discipleship team, right? I explained the difference. So you can say your preference for either of those two, but it's not guaranteed that we'll agree with your preference. There's much less discipleship teams. I think we only have like 5 of those, and then we have like 11 of the retreat, something like that. So there's much more need for retreat ministry missionaries than discipleship ministry missionaries. But you can tell us your preference, and then after that, you don't really get told where you're going until probably like 3 weeks into the training process, 2 or 3 weeks into the training process. So yeah, no one kind of knows where you're going. So you can be sent anywhere in the 48 states.
Wow. So is there one in Alaska?
We don't go to Alaska or Hawaii. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Tony. We can't join that.
I've been advocating for Hawaii for a little while. Like, just send us for a year.
The sole reason why I wanted to.
Yeah, exactly.
But
there's NET 1, NET 2, NET 3,
the teams.
4,
Yeah,
the teams. Is there specific regions that
they kind of shift all the time? Sometimes I think for like the longest time they would send like some teams to the same places, but it's not a rule. Okay. I think team 1 is for sure always the Minnesota regional team, so they call it the home team because they stay on the home base, the headquarters. So team 1 will probably always be that, but all the other teams could kind of switch.
And my question is, if like you go to training, 6 weeks of training, you really connect with someone, Tony and I were there, we're like, hey, you know what? We want to go on the same team. Is that something that is requested, or is like, nope, you guys, nope?
It hardly ever happens, except when you're Manny.
Manny gets special treatment.
No, I actually didn't get special treatment. I had this one buddy of mine who we went to this musicians training that NET puts on. So NET puts on this special training for the musicians, and this buddy of mine and I were like dormed randomly, right? Put together there. Then we were put together, I can't remember, in some other like pre-team selection like group, and then we were put on the same team. And like him and I were tight. We were like, we'd go everywhere. We'd like jam out for hours every night, just talk and all these things. And it was just super random that they ended up putting us on the same team. And normally, now that I'm part of the team selection process, so I actually get to see the behind the scenes, I realized that someone actually dropped the ball there. Someone didn't remove us from being on the same team, because normally if you see two people that are just really, really strongly drawn to each other, you probably separate them unless there's a really, really good reason why you want them to be together. And I don't think there was a good reason for me and my buddy.
Someone just dropped the ball on that.
Someone just didn't see it.
But I love the fact that you guys, develop lifelong relationships and friendships in that. So, follow-up question on that. They find themselves, and they're serving, all over the place, driving back and forth. Do you ever have people that end up failing halfway through and says, I just can't deal with this? You go through boot camp, NET boot camp for 6 weeks, and then you get sent out.
Yeah.
And they're like, I really miss home. I'm gonna quit.
Oh yeah.
What's the receptivity rate?
It's not. I think different years just yield differently, if that's the right word. But I do think there's multiple reasons why someone might leave. Someone might be asked to leave because they're breaking our conduct policy. So someone might decide to leave because, like you said, they're, I don't know, homesick, or, something happened at home that they want to leave. Or someone might be forced to leave due through health reasons. So those are mainly the 3 reasons why someone might leave the road. The health reasons tend to be probably our most prevalent reason for team members leaving, as far as I know. I know mental health is big in our society right now, in our culture, and we try to care for our missionaries as best as we can when it comes to mental health, and provide all the support that they might need. But if we realize that because of the nature of their ministry that we can't, then we discern with them and invite them into that discernment process, and asking them, do you think it's best to go home?
Awesome.
And if that's the case, then we fully support them doing that.
Here's my last question about that. How old do you have to be? How old do you have to be from the youngest to the oldest?
Yeah. So you have to be at least 18 by the time you get sent out on mission, which if you're 17 like right now and you turn 18 sometime in August or early September, then that might still be good. So it would just kind of be like a day, and that's for safe environment reasons. Obviously, we can't have minors ministering to minors. That just doesn't work. You need to have an adult who can be background checked and virtues trained and all those things to be able to minister to minors. And so you at least have to be 18 by the time we start ministry, and then you can't be older than 28 by the time you start ministry.
I can't be a netter. You still can't.
29, barely.
Yeah,
Right?
I barely made it. barely,
yeah.
Barely disqualified.
Got cut out. Yeah. You're still good though, right?
I'm 26.
Yeah.
Wait,
26?
You're 26?
I don't know. Am I 26? I think I'm 26.
I was 16.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm currently in the recruiting stage in ministry right now too. It's the end of the faith formation year, and we're trying to recruit people. And the biggest thing that I think is a struggle with our youth, as far as in the discernment process, is, I really am dead centered on going to college, and I got this scholarship, I have this, I want to succeed, I want to start my career, all this mentality. How do you kind of sell that with NET in this discernment process when that they would have to take a year from doing that, putting that on hold? How do you kind of sell that? Is that a frequent question that the teens or the young adults ask?
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. I think that's big, especially, right now the age group that for some reason is really drawn to NET are the really young missionaries, so 18, 19, and 20. So those are the missionaries that are in college, and that's our biggest age group of recruitment. And there is a lot of positive sides and benefits from doing something like NET, even if you've already been accepted. Most colleges, if you do have scholarships from the college, you can defer scholarships. And I think sometimes young adults are scared of doing that. And I mean, I don't want to put anything out there that might not be true, but I think at least for me, it's either their own personal fears or parents who might be like, no, it's, you already got the scholarship, just go, like, just do it. And I can see the truth in all that. We just say, like, what God's will is, it's better for you. So if God's will is for you to do something like NET now or other mission work, then that's probably better. If God's will is for you to do college, and do that, because NET's not going to make you happy. College is going to make you happy. You know, whatever His will is what's going to make you happy, and truly, lead you closer to Him. So that's what we want missionaries and young adults to do. But we do believe that there is a strong need for the ministry that we have, and so that's why we make the invitation to everyone to just consider and discern if it's if the Lord might be calling them to apply. So it is a big commitment. But, like, for example, when I came out of NET, I discerning, okay, what I want to do with my life, I went back to college for a little bit, and I decided to go to John Paul the Great Catholic University here in Southern California. And they actually, because I did NET, because I did mission work with NET, they actually offered me a scholarship, a very substantial amount, for a scholarship, because I had done NET, which they wouldn't have offered that money if I hadn't. So it actually benefited me to take that time and go do mission. It yielded fruits. The Lord blessed that work and gave me more than I could have asked for. So those are kind of like, and I didn't do it because of that. I didn't do NET because I knew I was going to get a scholarship out of it. I had no idea, but I do know there's a lot of Catholic universities out there. I think Mary Bismarck might offer scholarships. Like I said, I don't know if they're still offering down here in Escondido, but they did back then a few years ago. And so that was a blessing for me that I had no idea that would happen.
Well, it's definitely great to put on your resume.
Yeah.
To put that you're a missionary, and it's wonderful to hear that people see that that is an option. As a parent who have kids both in college, that was one of the things that when NET came and recruitment and asking people to be netters, my wife says, well, why don't you wait until you graduate college? And I'm like, why don't you do it now, then go to college? And that was the decision that was going through our minds. If you go to NET, that just delays you 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Or, well, if you go to NET after, well, that just delays your profession. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the fear of parents as well. If you go in the middle, what if you don't come back?
Yeah.
And those are all valid concerns. But I think, as you said, prayerfully for those people who are discerning becoming a missionary. I am a firm believer that every single Catholic youth should go on mission. Because we grow. I can't call that me being sent home to the Philippines for 4 years was mission, but dang, it was mission, because it was so totally different from here, and being away from parents and having to live on your own and having to pray on your own and finding your own church and you're finding your own group makes you grow. And I am so happy that you guys provide this opportunity, and I hope that more people, if you're listening to this, more people take that opportunity to become a missionary. Now, question: Australia?
Yeah. What about it?
Are there netters in Australia?
So all of the other different NET, like, I guess, branches or whatever you want to call them, they're not like, they came from NET USA, but they're not part of NET USA. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're different organizations. So there's like there's NET Australia, NET Canada, NET Ireland. Now there's NET Scotland, which we are strongly linked with right now because they're barely getting off the ground. And then there's NET Uganda.
Wow.
So there's and NET USA obviously. But those are all different, like ran by different CEOs. Like they don't draw from us anything except I think their like CEOs might connect once every 3 years or something and like do this cool summit where they just all talk and see how everyone's doing, and obviously we pray for them and all that. But as far as like training missionaries, all these, like it has nothing to do one with the other, have nothing to do except, like I said, us in Scotland, NET USA and Scotland are linked. So actually if you apply to NET USA, there's a chance that you might get sent to Scotland.
Ooh.
Because we recruit for NET Scotland.
That's super cool. Yeah, I just, once you said NET Canada, I couldn't get over it because it's like netters are already friendly, and then you have NET Canada. And it's like how much more friendly can you get, right? It's just sickening. It's like Canadian netters. I was like, how can you be more?
Any Canadian netters?
Any Canadian netters?
Hit us up right there.
I was like, how much more friendly can you get?
That's the Instagram clip for me.
I was like, yeah, I just couldn't get past that. You know, it's like even NET Uganda, I was like, can't get past NET Canada. So NET Canada, I'm telling you, I've lost it. I've lost it with NET Canada. I thought we were
real.
Like,
they exist.
I actually thought just NET USA crossed the border and crossed over and said.
I think so. At the very beginning, I think that's what happened. That's what used to happen, and
then the Canadians, you guys aren't as friendly enough.
I think someone had like border crossing issues, and that's why we stopped doing that. So I don't know the story really well, but I'm pretty sure that as far as the 90s, I think NET USA used to go into Scotland, and yeah, border issues happened.
Yeah.
Scotland or Canada?
Sorry, Canada.
Canada open borders not. This is the Disconnected Podcast. We are not politically correct. Tony is here though. He's supposed to keep me in track.
I'm shaking my head in disapproval.
That's right.
Watch it on YouTube. You can see it.
He is the
Tony
conscience.
does not approve.
Tony is the conscience of the podcast. So do you have anything else you want to say about NET before we talk about the other topic that I really want to ask you guys about?
No, I mean that's pretty much it. We do have some online interviews coming up in July and later this month. So yeah, if you guys want to know more about that, visit netusa.org.
How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, netusa.org. Yeah,
not mannyusa.org.
Yeah, I'll see if I can put my email here. I'm not sure, but yeah, any inquiries you guys have out here on the West Coast for sure can come my way about recruiting. I'd be happy to talk and connect with anyone about.
Perfect. Tony will make that blink on the YouTube thing.
Oh, yes, that blink.
That blinking thing.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's what I use. But you know, I have to talk about this because at the end of the year we talk about that. My concern always with high school youth is that we have vibrant middle school youth group, we have vibrant high school youth group, and then we have a touch here and there of young adult ministry.
Yeah.
And you know, in our diocese, we can probably mention in one hand the number of young adult ministries that are out there. And I'm not going to mention you all because I might miss one. So, although there's like, I'm gonna miss one, and then you're like, we didn't mention us. so, but you know, after high school, we have this push that you should go to college. You should go to college.
Yeah.
And then there are high schoolers that's like, sir, no, I don't do well in school, or I don't like school, and I don't want to go to college. But everyone should tell me, and I'm lost. I'm confused. And then we have people going to college, and parents' worries and parents' concerns and youth minister concerns is when they go off to college, their faith wanes. and they stop going to mass. And it's always, you always see this trajectory. First year, you're good. Second year, well, third year, you're like, where are you? Fourth year of college, like, where did they go? For you, both of you, maybe we can talk about this. I mean, what are the options for high schoolers? I mean, I graduate, what now? I mean, that was a question I posted, and some people responded to that, and many people just liked it, but sorry, that was a burp. But that's what you get for drinking 16 ounces of coffee. But what is it that, let's talk about this, dialogue about that. What can be done? What does a youth minister do for those high schoolers, and what do parents?
I think a lot of times we tend to say they can, we plug them into ministry. And that's not necessarily always a great option because their hearts might not be ready for ministry. So although that is a option, you could help with the ministries that you are a part of, that you grew in your faith with. Your heart might not necessarily be that. So first and foremost, I would always remember to Mass is important. Mass is your faith. I know a lot of times when you've been involved in ministry, you say, oh, well, I'm not involved in ministry. I'm not really doing a group. So therefore my faith is finished. It's like, do you go to Mass every week? Yeah. Why is it? Yeah. Why is it just like this mentality? Just like, yeah, I'm not really doing it. Like that's the source and summit of our faith. So I first and foremost, definitely don't discount what you already have. That doesn't mean you're not fully disconnected from the faith. There's always a Catholic Church, especially around here, like you were talking about, I think in the last Instagram Live, I think you were talking about how you have 10 in this vicinity, right?
Locally.
Yeah, locally. Don't discount the power of the Mass to connect you to the faith. That's the first thing that came to mind, right?
How about you, Manny?
Yeah, I think this can be approached from different angles, really. If it's a teenager, like a graduate asking like now what, then I think that's great, because at least they're aware that this youth ministry thing needs, that void that's going to be left by that needs to be filled somehow.
Right.
So I think that speaks to the just even great starting point for them. And I would say you're going to need to fight for your faith in college. You're going to need to really go out there and be intentional about your faith. Like you're talking about going to Mass, but not just that. Be intentional about going to young adult events. I think it's hard, especially to start getting into the young adult event scene, because we're cliquey.
Yeah.
Young adult events and ministries tend to be kind of cliquey.
Can we mention that again? Young adult events that we have tend to be cliquey.
Yeah. And again, I've been a part of like forming young adult groups. I've been a participant in young adult groups, and I've noticed it in every which way. And I know it's a struggle, because I know in the leadership meetings, you're probably saying, let's not be cliquey, let's be inclusive. I know you're saying that. I know you're not doing it on purpose, but a lot of times it comes across that way. So let's keep reworking our mindset for young adult ministry events so that they don't come across that way. They come across more inclusive, that when someone shows up and doesn't know anyone, they don't feel like they don't know anyone, right? So I think that's one aspect. If you're asking as a parent that question, then I think you're asking too late. Yeah. I think you should have asked that in middle school, when statistics tell us that that's like the decision-making point for young people, if they want to be religious or not. About 13 years old is when young people decide, I think I want to be religious for the rest of my, for at least for this next part of my life or not. And so if as a parent, you're asking at 18 or at 17, when they're juniors or seniors in high school, or when they just graduated high school, I think you're late, not to lose hope. All right, not like let's not lose hope. So I'm kind of calling on the parents that do have maybe 13-year-olds, like, let's start building a relationship with Jesus now. Because if they have a relationship with Jesus and they're building that relationship with Jesus, then they'll crave for something once they're in college, and they'll understand that they can't go without Jesus. They can't go without the Lord. They can't go without the sacraments. So yeah, those are kind of my two takes on that.
Yeah, thank you for that. Because again, but even for parents, it's like, well, what do? I drop them off at youth group since the 6th grade, and they're straying.
You know, I just had this isn't going to be mind blowing, but I just had another conversation just earlier today, and it was a parent talking to me about a 17-year-old that's going to turn. That's our time. That's all we got, folks. So,
I'm gonna try to figure out how to turn this thing
all
on,
right, I'm going to pretend that that's not distracting me.
this gadget.
All right, so yeah, I was having this conversation with this parent with a 17-year-old, and that they're going to turn 18 in like December, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were asking about confirmation. I said, well, you know, they're going to be 18 within the year, so they're probably going to go into adult confirmation, right? And right away, parent goes, well, I can't control them after that. Quote unquote.
Yeah.
I can't control them after that. And I said, well, because the sacrament needs to be a free choice either way. And just to reiterate what you're saying, like these things need to be thought about as a parent in middle school. And obviously, if you're hearing this as a parent, they're already older than that, doesn't really help. But again, that's why my mind first went to the sacraments of Mass, being like, you're still connected. Like, that is communion for a reason. Do not discount that. If you're a young adult that you don't know where to go, make sure that's set first. And that will connect you. Don't, like, I don't know. I just feel like that's the top thing I always hear. If they're not involved in ministry or a group, they feel like they're not a Catholic. They're not practicing. But that's not the defining moment. I feel like, and I'm not discounting that that community element is important, and I understand the mindset, but just are we going to Mass with intentionality first and foremost? Because that you need that first and foremost. I don't know if I'm making sense, but that's just
I understand what you're saying. That in every ministry that I've seen, the ones that succeeded were always the ones that were Eucharistic centered. And I think that's what we shouldn't lose when we do young adult ministry, is not to lose the fact that it should be Eucharistic centered and centered on the Mass, the gift of the Mass. Sometimes we have young adult ministry that is almost Protestant-like. Nothing wrong with that. Praise and worship, amen. Let's do that. But let's lead them back inside the walls of the church to the sacraments, because I once said, well, it was told to me. I didn't say it.
I once said.
Someone said to me, because I was called out on this. You have a lot of kids that are going to youth group. How many of them are going to Mass? Yeah. And I was like, I don't know. And Pastor said, for you Catholics, Pastor is priest. The priest said, well, maybe you should find out. Because they're very excited about group, but they're not excited about the Mass. And so if we have vibrant youth ministry and vibrant young adult ministry, but they're not excited about the Mass, and they say, well, I go to Mass. Like, well, yeah, I love my wife, but yeah, I love my wife. Like, no, I love the Mass. I love the Mass. That's how it should be. As Tony said, there might not be something close by, but Jesus is.
yeah.
Who could love a person like this? Jesus.
Only Jesus. Yeah, exactly.
I love that movie, by the way. Jesus.
I think I don't catch that.
Yeah, I'm old. Sorry.
For
Hush.
millennials.
Yeah. Wait, you're oh yeah, you are. I'm sorry.
Who's older?
He's not. Are you?
Who's old?
Who's older?
Yeah, who's old?
I don't know.
Guess.
You are.
Yeah.
You are?
Wait, you are?
Yeah, we've had this conversation. Wait, are you even trolling me?
I can't. Did we have this conversation?
Yeah.
Oh.
This is how millennials talk.
Yeah.
Where's our avocado toast?
That's too expensive.
Avocado toast, please. Avocados, 99 cents each. I'm just saying.
Mm.
But guys, I pray for young people because in this age, I always worry. I'm a parent. I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior.
Mm.
I'm a warrior, but
Mm.
I'm a worrier as well.
That makes sense.
Because I worry every single time when I was ministering in high school and middle school. I worried that they didn't get enough to be able to sustain them through that desert that they're going to go through. And again, that's why I'm not a priest, and that's why they're great priests. And says, Father Brendan said, you don't have control over that. You have to be more trusting of the Holy Spirit. And as youth ministers, we do, but we can have a little bit of control in introducing them. And I always say, you know what? When your kids, your youth, young people are going out there, find out what college or university they're going to.
Yeah.
Find out the closest focus.
Yeah. Newman
Center, young adult ministries that are around there, and NET, offer them that opportunity. Other missionary, I don't know if there are other Catholic missionaries out there. We're going to talk about that, but
It's just about that.
Yeah, because we don't know. It's like, are there?
There are. There's many groups. There's
So we are not cliquish. If we do find out, we invite them to come on the podcast. It's like we're losing it. Is it that late? But Manny, last question. You're
Yeah.
married.
I am.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So I actually, before I talk about that marriage thing, because some of us are dating now, some of us have been married for a very long time. How long have you been married?
3 years now.
3 years.
Yeah.
3 years. Any babies?
Yeah. I have one little girl. Yeah. Her name's Gianna.
Gianna.
Yeah.
Go figure. How Catholic can you be? Middle name?
Marie Joan.
How Catholic can you be? Gianna Marie Jones. Really?
Yeah.
Man, totally. It's like, if he was like ultra Catholic, it would be like Gianna Marie Joan and another saint, Teresa.
Mm.
So it's
Maybe
like,
the next one.
as my dad used to say, only give them one name because you're Catholic, you're gonna have more, and you're gonna run out of good saint names.
Hey, that
Picture of my dad, he had 9.
wow.
So that's why we only have one name.
What
each.
wise man.
Yeah.
Wise
9 children. So
Should've thought of that.
Are you gonna have more?
Hopefully.
He's
yes.
Catholic.
Yes.
I'm just
Yes,
kidding.
we're
Someone was upset when I said that once. It's like, I'm joking. But he is Catholic.
But
Open to life, right? Open
Yes.
to life.
Yeah.
Wherever the Holy Spirit
every
is.
time.
So you're married, you have a child,
Yes.
you work for NET, so that means you have to travel. Your wife's okay for that?
So I don't travel a crazy amount. And actually I'm traveling next Sunday. I'm leaving to Minnesota for so I'm also part of our Y Disciple content creation group. And the Y Disciple is a resource for ministers to train their adults volunteers and also to disciple young people, and it's part of NET Ministries. And so I'm part of that team, and we're gonna actually be producing and recording some more training material for young adults that we want to put out soon. So I'm going to Minnesota this coming week to do that for about a week. And so I maybe travel maybe 4 times a year for about a week.
It's not bad.
So it's not like I'm leaving every month, It's
It's actually very healthy, man.
Yes. Yeah, Katie doesn't enjoy it that much.
Just wait a couple more years.
But but we have a great support system here, like her
Good.
parents, my family, and they do a lot to help us with the little one.
And I'm glad you mentioned Why Disciple, because there's this podcast, and we honor other podcasts here, especially Catholic podcasts that provide great content. It's called the Youth Ministry Mindset.
Yes,
You guys got to listen to it.
Yes.
They actually know what they're talking about. It's not like disconnected. It's like great information. That's where I borrow all my stuff from. These guys are great. So just honesty. Listen to Youth Ministry, Mindset. It's great content. It's a limited series, so you guys get it in and listen. Great information on.
Yeah, very knowledgeable people. I work with Annie Grindell, who she's Why
Can I get her
Disciple
autograph?
coordinator. I could probably get you her autograph.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
And the other two guys that are on there are Alpha staff, and they're just super knowledgeable about discipleship, which is what Why Disciple is all about. And that's really the future of youth ministry.
Yeah.
Like discipling. I think we veered from youth. I know that's a completely different topic, but we veered away from discipling young people in Catholic youth ministry, and we should really get back to that.
Yeah, and that's true, and the great thing of that podcast is they're not all Catholic.
Mm.
Yeah, I was like shocked. Wait, they're not Catholic. So as most people know, the person who got me back into the faith was not Catholic. Sorry, Mom. It was a coworker. She's Baptist, still is. It's like I tease her. It's like one day you'll become Catholic. She has no child. But I lost my train of thought. See what you did, Tony?
I travel a lot, but not really.
You travel a lot, and you're married.
Yeah,
it doesn't affect that. And this guy, he's dating.
Yeah. When's the? Am I getting a save the date soon?
We're not going that quick. Sorry.
Am I supposed to answer that?
Live. Maybe
Yeah.
she'll be watching.
You
could just
see the
propose right
Oscar?
now.
Whoa. He edits the podcast.
Thanks, boss. That's all.
I love
you.
I love this. Love you too. Yeah. I just want to say that I love him more. That's what I always tell my children, because he's young enough to be my child. So I love you more. I love you more. But I love the fact that you're discipling, you're in ministry, and your wife is supportive, and that's what the beauty is of ministry, is that you have a relationship with God, and both of you have that relationship with God together. It's like my mom used to say, put Jesus in the middle. And then this guy has a relationship with God. And I tell you, minor miracle that God delivered this young lady, he is not deserving.
Really?
I'm just kidding.
More than minor. It's more than a
minor miracle. But what a wonderful relationship, because so many people, and I tell this, so many young people and older people like me look at relationships and young people and see holiness, and just increases your faith, because you are a witness, and no matter how you are, just by your actions, and the many young people I walk with, just seeing how holy that relationship is a witness to other people of what faith or not. Just such a great witness, and that is the beauty of courtship. That's the beauty of courtship, is being that witness.
So are we saying, kind of like, to answer the question, what now, also associate yourself with other people that are going to bring you closer to Christ?
That's why he's here.
Yeah.
That's why he's here.
So
Holy
there you go.
relationships.
That's a topic for next time. Huh?
Next time.
Relationships from a guy perspective.
But that is amazing that you said that, because what now? As Tony said, surround yourself with holiness.
Yeah.
You can't do this alone. Surround yourself with friends who are living a life of holiness. You surround yourself with people that you're wanting to date, who are living out the call to be holy. You listen to podcasts that, like the podcast I share with you, and even this one, that hopefully will lead you towards holiness. You follow Manny Huerta. I'm just so bad with Spanish. And who are working in the vineyard to lead people to holiness. And again, when you surround yourself with smelling good like flowers, you start smelling like flowers. You hang out with crap, you smell like crap. That's not talking about the fact that we've been working all day at church and we smell like the sun. Just kidding. I promised that I would not roast certain people that I love. But as I said, it's not a covenant.
I want to turn in my letter of rest.
Sorry. Most people who always work with me in ministry, there was no resignation.
Wow, that's very intense. Now, I think I'm dipping out.
So Tony, Manny, you guys have any last parting words as we close this podcast before people start tuning us out for other podcasts?
I think personally, just in the whole mindset of like, what to do after high school, just really, if you're a young adult and you're really serious about your faith, you just have to fight for it, man. You really have to fight for it and stay close to Jesus. Keep coming back to him in the sacraments. And I really encourage you guys to do that. And above all, to do what God's will is for your life. So,
Tony?
No, I don't really think I have much to add, but just that I like how you said earlier with the discerning process with, I forget how you even worded it, that God's grace is greater, or I don't know how you, something to that extent. In the discernment process, that because God's grace is God's life in us, so just trust in that. When even in the small things, like which way do I go? Well, God's with you. God is with you, and especially within the sacraments.
Wow, that's deep. I'm not that deep, but what I just have to say is, in today's Gospels, the mustard seed, it's planted in your heart. Just keep watering it. Just keep feeding it, letting it grow. It will bear fruit. Guarantee you, it will bear fruit. As Tony said, surround yourself with holiness. As Manny said, a whole lot of stuff. Be a missionary. Be a missionary disciple. That's what I'd like to see every single young person out there, and even old people like me, is to live out as a missionary disciple. And people will see the reflection of Christ in you. So I hope, fam, that you got something out of this. If you didn't, it's their fault. Just kidding. Just kidding. So I hope you tune in to our next episode of this Connected podcast. I want to thank Manny, be our guest from NET. And I want to thank producer Tony for being present today. He's always such a great guy. Promise I'd never roast him, but the guy's amazing. Right?
And I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, he's amazing. I'm just gonna put him back in the closet after this, so he can edit the podcast. There's the closet right there, right behind Manny. It's complete chaos right there. So, anyways, fam, if you want to connect with us, send us an email at catholic.dad50@gmail.com. Send us an email. Tell us what you think about it. Contact us if you want us to send you more information. I love Tony's smile. Also, subscribe to the podcast. I hate this part. Subscribe to the podcast. It's like, what is that? Ring that bell. Ding, ding, whatever.
Yeah,
like,
bell.
follow us on Instagram.
Yeah.
If you want to be a patron, help us, be able to create better content and provide more information and put this guy through college. Be a patron. Be a patron. For $1 per month, you can send Tony to college. You can send a starving youth minister for $1 a month This is getting bad, isn't it? For $5 a month, you can send him through CMFP and support this good cause. Yeah, in all honesty, folks, every single dime, every single penny, every single amount that you donate to the podcast goes 100% towards our mission to provide support services to any missionary, any youth minister, any youth group that needs it. So please support us. Go on our bio on Instagram, and just, donate what you can. And if you're a young person who doesn't have a work because you're a listener and you're in middle school, make your parents donate. Yeah, that's what they're supposed to do. So fam, that's all we have. Remember, live a life of holiness. We'll be praying for you. Please pray for us. And most importantly, be blessed and be free.
Different points of view and highs and lows, a new perspective everywhere you go. Open up your mind and drown out the noise of different generations of the girls and boys. So sit back and relax, this Cat the podcast. Don't overreact if these thoughts are abstract. When it's hosted by Catholic Dad, who knows what's gonna happen?
Hey, what's up, fam?
Different points of view and highs and lows, a new perspective everywhere you go. Open up your mind and drown out the noise, and see if this connected.
What's up, fam? To connect generations and situations about faith, life, and whatever comes along.
Expect runaway thoughts like a runaway train. Break into conversation like links of a chain. Make a Hail Mary pass, hope this connects. Have a question for a guest, put it to rest. Live a life of holiness, lead by example. Follow at Catholic.Dad and Mini Tangled. Christ leads our way, he's the good shepherd. Pray for one another, be blessed and be there. Different points of view and highs and lows, a new perspective everywhere you go. Open up your mind and drown out the noise, and see if this connected.